You talked about earlier the one of the major projects of the MEP is the malnutrition. What else is on your plate? What are the other major programs that MEP wants to work on during your term? Yes,
we are full with programs this year.
Yeah.
Okay, the biggest, of course, would be the campaign against malnutrition and child stunting.
Right.
And we also talk already about the education,
Yes.
especially the technical vocational education and training,
Yes.
where there should be more enterprise pick-up of our
Right.
TVET graduates.
Yeah.
And then the third would be, we also made a statement about the creation, pushing for the creation of a national branding council.
Okay.
Then we also are pushing for the drafting or creation of a blueprint for shared prosperity.
Okay.
And if I may explain a little
Sure.
about shared prosperity. This is actually a concept or thought leadership that is being pushed by World Bank, where our corporates should be able to lift also poverty. I mean, to uplift the lowest 40% of the poor.
Okay.
So we are trying. There will be a shared prosperity summit come August.
Oh, okay.
With the end in view of crafting a blueprint for shared prosperity that we can push to our corporates.
Okay.
Because traditionally, as you know, corporates are beholden to only one, which is the shareholders' interest.
Right.
Now we're pushing that they look at a bigger picture
Right.
of being part of the society, so that they should be beholden not just for the interest of the shareholder, but various stakeholders that they deal with, including their employees, their customers, their suppliers, the environment they are in, the community that they are in, that they should be responsible. We are always pushing for shared responsibility.
Right. Right. Is this somewhat similar to concerns before about the inequality of
Yes.
of growth? It sounds very similar.
No, it's
Why-
not about inequality, but
Yeah.
it would somehow,
Or maybe inclusive
address.
growth. Yeah.
It's about inclusive growth.
Right.
It should somehow address the widening gap between the rich and the poor.
Right.
So that we're using as a tool these corporations to help address that inequality.
Right. And what are the dangers there for the private sector? As you said, the concern used to be limited to the interest of the shareholders. Now you're looking at the society as part of the stakeholders.
Yes.
Right. But is there a realization that if the private sector doesn't look after society itself, then they don't have a
They don't
market
have
to
business.
They don't have.
They don't have
They
business.
have nothing that will sustain them.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable if they don't take care of their society and the environment that
Yeah.
work with and the people they come in contact with. It's not
Yeah.
this business is not sustainable.
Yeah, I've been hearing this term ESG.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that for those who are not familiar? It seems like corporate governance,
It's yeah.
corporate responsibility, right?
It's not just corporate it's not just social responsibility. The business model should in itself, should, what do you call that? Should incorporate in its business model these responsibilities of stakeholders. Okay, ESG is about governance, social, and environment, social, and governance.
Right.
Yes.
How seriously are Philippine companies looking at that now? In other countries, it's there are actually rankings now because there's a scorecard that you could use. Are we at that point where we could actually rank?
I think
companies?
SEC is also doing that.
Okay.
But how serious is it?
Yeah, how serious is it? I mean,
How is serious is it? I think they are requesting that for listed companies to at
Okay.
least have ESG and governance and social responsibility in their businesses.
Yeah.
And there is a reporting for that. And sometimes there is also like a grading for that. But how many listed companies do we have?
Yeah.
We only have around 200 plus?
Yes. Very small.
That at one point somebody asked me, "Is that a market?"
And I think to make it worse, I've been hearing of some companies delisting, and I find that a bit troubling. I was wondering if there's something wrong with the system, right? That that the listed companies find it cumbersome to be public, and then and in fact, one of the comments that I've heard, that some of these companies have decided to delist had said that they don't feel the benefit of being listed anyway. And if you are listed, then you have all of these other compliance rules,
Yes,
right? That
yes.
can be a burden and could be costly, right? So some of them are going private again. Does that worry you, or is that how can that be fixed?
Well, we're trying to. I was before a co-chair of the Secretary of Finance.
Okay.
And the Capital Markets Development
Okay.
Council. And these are the things that council is actually doing.
Right.
And PSE now has somehow relaxed its rules.
Okay.
And they have now not just the big ones, then they are trying to go to mid-cap also.
Right.
And SEC is also heavily involved in trying to deepen the capital markets.
Right. Right.
So those are, I think, already being looked at now.
Yeah, but we were talking earlier about education, and that's always been a component of the efforts to promote the stock market. But I never really saw a viable program. There have been some efforts.
Okay, there's a program. There's a program of Phoenix.
Okay.
Phoenix has this, it's under Phoenix Academy.
Okay.
And they have this series
Financial
of programs
literacy or
on capital markets, not just
okay.
financial literacy, but
Right.
really on capital markets.
Right.
So the ones who attend those are the practitioners
I
and
see.
those who wants to learn about the capital
right,
markets.
right. No,
So-
in the past, I think even the PSC had some competitions, and they involved some universities, and they have these games, I guess, to simulate actual
Yes.
market trading, right?
Yes.
But I think the objective then was somehow to convince younger Filipinos
To go.
to participate in the stock market.
Problem is,
Yeah, what's the problem?
we have more, even if we have many that
Right.
would practice in capital markets,
Right.
but we have to have more listings first,
Yes.
right? So recently, because of the REIT that was revived,
Yeah.
so we have, I think, how many REIT companies
Right.
there now?
Right.
I am no longer in that council, so I am not updated, but
Right.
I would suppose that it will grow now.
Right.
On the Maharlika, I don't know if this is if that will be listed or
Yes.
not. I don't actually know.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't read the law
Yes.
either. Yeah.
But if it is, then perhaps it could also deepen the capital markets. And then when I was there at the council, we were pushing also for LGU bond financing.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. So they don't rely on the budget, and they can
Yes.
float their own debts and finance their own
Yes.
local projects.
And another one is we're trying to build up institutional funds so
Okay.
that we're looking at pension fund.
I see.
Now, on the private sector, there is no law that would require you to put up a fund that would take care of the pension that you pay to your employees later on. So we're trying to look at how we can make it mandatory for companies to set up a fund
Right.
to take care of the pension of their employees when they retire, and out of this fund, this can be used to deepen the capital market.
What's needed to make it happen? I mean,
It's a law.
okay. So you need a new law.
Yes, we have actually pushed this. We got the nod of Congressman Salceda already
Okay.
before, and then
Albay.
now it's now in the hands of Senator Vin Gatchalian.
No, that's great. What about the municipal bonds? I mean, I see that because I see that abroad.
Yeah.
And the local governments use the bond to build bridges, highways, and in their local
Yes.
municipalities. But
I understand there are now 2 takers of that.
okay.
Yes.
And is it because our local officials are just not savvy enough in terms of finance, or they don't know what are bonds?
Because wala.
Yeah.
Wala noon ganon na produkto. Yeah.
But I also heard that, for example, Senator Gatchalian was here before, and I think he seemed to remember that during his days when he was mayor, that there were some also limitations, I guess, when he was mayor, right? That they couldn't, LGUs could only transact with government. You're not allowed to, explore.
No. That their money is tied up with government banks only, I think, and he's talking about Land Bank and DBP.
Yes.
No, and
it wasn't even law. It was just a circular, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
And at that time, there was before already an LGU bond.
Okay.
But I think Land Bank and DBP became competitors.
I see.
Okay, and they were offering more friendly rates. That's one. And second is that since the fund of these LGUs are already with them, they can always offset the payables from the fund that they have. So it's easy.
Right.
But the problem with that is that there is no, we're looking at the developmental component. No?
Yeah.
Because if you list in the market, you are forced to make it right, and that it's for the developmental projects.
Yeah. Well, going back to the stock exchange, what could be done? I mean, how do we entice more companies to list? I mean, should we begin with maybe all of the GOCCs, right? I mean, I guess the government, the president can say list, and then that could be one way of being more transparent, because now you're now obligated to make disclosures, right? And
we look at our neighboring countries, and I think Vietnam then does that. No.
Okay.
Most of their issuances are government.
I see.
Yes.
I see.
Very
well, it makes
few
sense
from
because
the
their political system is socialist, so that most of them have partnerships with the
So,
government.
but here in the country, I think there is also a law that says that if you are an incentive grantee, if you are a BOI grantee, you should
list.
listing.
Right.
Should list. I don't know what are the other where there should be a mandatory listing.
Yeah, I think that's something that deserves more study, but certainly a worthwhile one if done. We'll be right back with Ms. Du-Baladad of the MAP. We'll be right back.